Hello, and welcome to History 493, Rome, Transition from Republic to Empire. My name is Professor Gaughan from the History Department at Colorado State University in Pueblo, and I will be your professor during this course. And I am delighted to have the opportunity to teach people at a far distance. But this is going to be a lot of work for you, so I just wanted to give you some introductory remarks, introduce myself, and talk a little bit about how to get started in the course. So I thought I might start by introducing myself, since we don't get to see each other face to face, that you could learn a little bit about me. As I said, my name is Professor Gaughan. If you ignore the consonants in the middle, you will be pronouncing my name correctly. And that's me in the middle of the screen there. And in the lower left and upper right-hand corners, my daughter's guinea pigs. Chico down there in the left and CJ up there in the right. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see my book, Murder Was Not a Crime, Homicide and Power in the Roman Republic. I had nothing to do with the cover, but I like it very much, very bloody and gruesome. And so, as you can see, my interest lies specifically in Roman history, which is what this course is also going to be focusing on. And I got my PhD from the University of California at Berkeley in ancient history and Mediterranean archaeology. That's not actually my outfit, but it looks very much like my graduation regalia. In the first week of class, I'm going to be asking you to just let us know a little bit about you so we can communicate a little more easily throughout the semester. And if you want to do that in video format, you can, but you don't have to. There will be a blog up on Blackboard, which I'll talk about in a little while. Let's talk a little bit about this class. Basically, I treat this class as a senior thesis. So the main project is going to be your argumentative research paper, and that's going to be worth 45% of your total grade. And that's the final version of that is going to be due at the end of the semester. We'll talk about how to approach that, and there will be many intermediary steps before the end of the semester to get that research project going. But that's going to be your main goal. So you want to be keeping in mind as we start the class what you want to do your research on. Because as long as it's within this period of Augustan Rome from 44 BCE until 14 CE, then you can choose whatever topic you like. There are two primary web-based tools that we'll be using throughout the semester, and then within these tools there are smaller tools that we'll be working with. So first of all is Blackboard. So using your CSU-Pueblo account, if you go through the T-Wolf page, you can get to the Blackboard page and you'll see this course listed among your courses, or perhaps as your only course. And on Blackboard there are several different tools, but there are a few specifically that I want to point out. First of all, the syllabus has not only a description of the rules and regulations for the course, but also an explanation week by week of what it is we're trying to accomplish in that week and how you should go about accomplishing it. The reason I did this, there are a heck of a lot of words then on the syllabus and several pages. But the reason I did this is because since we don't get that personal face-to-face interaction, I wanted to make sure that you understood what the goals were of each week and how to accomplish them. So you can look at that all at the beginning of the semester. It might be worth just kind of glancing over it at the beginning of the semester, but then for each week, come back to the syllabus and look at that week's kind of goals and so on. But where you're going to go to get connections to all of this material is going to be in the modules. The modules are also arranged week by week. So there are 15 modules and 15 weeks in our semester, including the final exam week, which will be when your final draft of your paper is due. So make sure that every week you look at the syllabus and every week you look at the modules. There's also a web links page. And in the web links page, there are links to most importantly probably, Perseus at Tufts University and the Lacus Curtius website. And those two websites contain most of the primary sources that you're going to need for this course. And you will be required to include primary sources, in fact, to base your paper primarily on primary sources. Let's take a quick look at those sites. Here's the Lacus Curtius site at the University of Chicago. And the Lacus Curtius site has links to our primary sources. So if we scroll down, we can find Greek and Latin texts organized by author's family name. So, for example, we're going to be reading Dio's Roman history for the first part of the semester, and you'll probably be doing research with Dio as well. So if you click on Cassius Dio, the Roman history, scroll down, it's going to tell you which books that you can read, and we're going to start with book 50. Cassius Dio writes a lot about the Romans, as you can see. We're going to start with book 50. And then we've got Cassius Dio 50, and we're actually going to read all of book 50 of Cassius Dio. So L is the Roman numeral for 50. So this is the Lacus Curtius site. It's pretty straightforward. The Perseus website is a little trickier. And I'm just doing the link from the through Google, but there's actually a web link to it in the Blackboard page. I'm going to pause this because sometimes Perseus takes a little while to upload. So we have the links. So that was just, I don't know, pause for about 10 seconds or so. Perseus is a little slower than Lacus Curtius because I think it's used a lot more and it's a bigger site. But here we have also many primary sources, but more importantly, many translations, many modern sources, but also many translations of primary sources from Greek and Latin. And then we're going to go down. Let's see if we can find Dio again here and work from Dio. I don't know if Dio's on this site. That's the other advantage. I'm just going to look. The other one had it under C, but it might be under D. Cassius Dio. Yeah. Okay. So we do have Dio on here too under D, which is really his family name. So we click on there. We get to Cassius Dio's work. It's written in Greek. We're like, the Greek. Hopefully they have a an English version. Excuse me. So another thing about Lacus Curtius is that it has some of the things that the Perseus does not have, and I think Dio is one of them. Dio we have in the Greek, but it's not. We don't yet have the English translation of that. So let's scroll down and find Suetonius if we can. Okay. Let's see. Taking me just a minute here, pardon me. Gaius Suetonius Tranquillus. We're going to look at the life of Julius Caesar. If I click on that, that's going to be the Latin. So I'm going to go down here to the English and click on Divus Augustus, the Divine Augustus. And we'll be reading this. Notice that we're looking at it section by section at this point. The family of the Octavii, blah, 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 so on. That's just the first section. We can look at the whole thing, not just a chapter, but the whole entire thing. So we get the life in its entirety, right? And you can also choose chapters up here. If I just want to look at this chapter 19, I can click here. Or if I want to go to the life of Julius Caesar instead of the life of Augustus, I can go forward, or the life of Tiberius on the other side. So anyway, there are links from Blackboard to these sites, and these two, the Perseus site and the Lacus Curtius site, are going to have almost all the primary sources you're going to need for your research. And Perseus even has a site that is dedicated to artifacts if you were more interested in archaeology. And those are also, that also is linked from our webpage. Finally, there's the class blog. The class blog we're going to use primarily at the beginning of the semester for discussion. And the fact is that this is going to be really hard to do on your own. Once we get past this phase, it's going to be a little bit easier to work on your own. But in this beginning part, I'd like it, if it's possible, for you to be online as much as possible, responding to the reading, responding to what other people say, so we can have as organic a discussion as possible on the class blog. Finally, we also have I'm also going to connect you to the writing studio that's at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, but is open to anyone to use. I've created a class there, and you're going to be doing all the work for your research paper, and there are many, many stages to that work. And you're going to be posting that in your e-portfolio there. So let me show you real quickly that link. What you're going to need to do is create your own account. I already have an account. And I have several classes here. This is us. And I have created a template. Oops. That's what we want, the e-portfolio too. I've created a template for us. And this might change a little bit on the customers. And you'll be required to put your assignments up here. So your research topic will go on the research topic page. There's nothing here yet because there's no research topic. Your ancient works cited will go up, and all of your other assignments will go up on this template. So you definitely want to get into this course, because this is where you're going to post your written work for your paper. So there are directions on Blackboard for how to log into, how to create a course, and then we'll get you enrolled. So the e-portfolio is going to be crucial for your written work. Finally, I'd like to say a few words about tips for success. We are far apart in different time zones doing different things, and it's going to be absolutely crucial that we communicate as much as possible, that you turn in your work on time, that you get online as frequently as you can. The requirement will be 3 to 2 times per week, but if you can do it more frequently than that, then that would be even better. As I say, especially early in the semester when we're trying to understand together what Augustus is up to. And then completing your work completely. For example, I sometimes get drafts of work that are only a couple pages when the final product is supposed to be 20 pages long. That doesn't count as a complete draft, and that won't earn you full credit. So to get full credit, you have to do a complete draft. And in fact, we'll talk more about that later. Another tip for success is that you save your work in more than just one place, because it's easy to lose work. Something can go wrong so easily. So save your work in multiple locations. It may be difficult for you to save hard copies of your work, but if that's the case, then find a different cloud that's not connected with the writing studio and save work there as well as in the writing studio. If you can save it on paper, great. If you can email it to yourself, great. I do that all the time when I'm working on things. Just very quickly email it to myself, so if something goes wrong with my flash drive or something, I still have that. It would be a shame to have 15 of your 20 pages written and then lose it all. So make sure to save. Okay, let me say a few things a few more useful bits of information that will be handy when you're doing your work. First of all, terminology. The dates that we'll be looking at for Augustus's reign go from before the birth of Christ to after the birth of Christ, and possibly after the death of Christ, although we're a little shaky on dates there. Anyway, so the dates go from BC to AD. But what the language that I use, and the language you'll see in a lot of the scholars, although not all of them, is going to be BCE and CE or ACE. So before the Common Era or the Common Era. So BCE is the same as before Christ. And CE, I flipped these on the slide, I apologize. BCE and CE go together, and BC and AD go together. So Anno Domini, the year of our Lord, is also the Common Era, so CE. So our dates are from 44 BCE to 14 CE. The other thing to keep in mind is that although the Romans themselves did not count their dates backwards, in fact they dated events by who was consul. So you'll see sometimes in your reading it'll say in the consulship of so and so and so and so, and then you'll go, okay, they're giving me a year there, I see that. So anyway, the dates go backwards before, so we actually go from 44 BCE to 1 BCE, and then 1 CE to 14 CE. That's the time period that we'll be doing research on in this class. The other thing I wanted to point out is reading primary sources. The sources as I assign them, and as you will see them documented in the modern scholarship that you read, are going to cite authors by their by the book number and chapter number. Let's take a look at the Lacus Curtius site to show you what I mean. So here we are. On the left-hand side, you can see all the different books of the Lacus that Cassius Dio wrote. And as I said, we're going to start with book 50 in our course. So I've already opened book 50 in my other window here. And I'm going to scroll down. And so here's book 50, chapter 1. They're in red in this document. So I would write 50.1, and that would be the chapter that you would want to look at, or 50.2, or 50.3, 4, and so on. So if you find when you're reading, you will find people often cited by a book and chapter number rather than any page number. That way, whatever translation you're reading should have the same book and chapter number. Or for poetry, for example, it would be book and line number or something like that. So keep track of those books and line numbers. So we are ready. Let us go to Rome. And in my next video, we'll be talking about Roman history, and I'll try to give you some background for getting started with our research on the Augustan age. Until then, I look forward to working with you this semester. Please feel free to contact me as frequently as you wish. Thank you. Bye.